Hypocrisy in the WNBA is a real thing, and it was proven no more clearly than what's popped off today when Brianna Turner posted yesterday on X that she personally covered up sexual harassment within the Indiana Fever organization. Yes, she, a member of the Players Union, an executive on the WNBPA, she personally covered up sexual harassment with the Indiana Fever organization. You cannot make this up, and we're going to talk about it right here. Welcome back, everyone, to Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez. Show might hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave your comments, hype the video. Let's jump right on into this thing. There's no point in wasting time. Some of you may have heard about this already, but yesterday, Brianna Turner went on her typical comments about things that happen in the WNBA and the things that she doesn't like, blase. And here is what she posted. And we're going to jump right into it because this is the typical garbage that exists right here. An issue that has caused problems. Though, last year on my WNBA team, which we know was the Indiana Fever, a male staff member was fired for sexual harassment, but we were encouraged to keep quiet about it. That is an issue. Sexism, misogyny, homophobia, and racism are all issues. At this point, I know for a fact that these players do not know what sexism is. They don't know what misogyny is. They don't know what homophobia is. And they clearly don't know what racism is, because the only thing that they attach to racism is that Caitlin Clark is better than this person or that person or that person at basketball. And they don't really know what it is, because mean words don't equate to racism. Saying you suck doesn't mean it's racist. Saying you're trash doesn't make it racist. It just means you suck and you're trash. But this is the comment that she posted up. I mean, come on, guys. A male staff member, and I'm going to get into more of this thing, but a male staff member. Who? Is it someone that worked in the ticket office, the accounting department? Was it a trainer? It clearly wasn't a coach, because, well, you got a married coach on the bench, married to another coach on the bench, and there are no other males on the bench as coaches. So a videographer, a social media manager. Who is the staff member? What the team janitor, the lunch cart preparer? This is such a vague, ridiculous statement here. But hey, you know what the problem is, Brianna? You claim to be all about women's rights, and you did not air the dirty laundry. You covered it up, and you said that they encouraged you to keep quiet about it. They didn't force you to keep quiet about it. Nothing's ever forced you to keep quiet about anything. So you're a hypocrite. Like, period, point blank, hypocrite. You talk about caring about women's rights. You talk about caring about women. You talk about caring about all these causes. And when it happens in your organization, the Indiana Fever last year, you don't say a word because you were encouraged. What, were you afraid of losing your job? Were you afraid of getting cut? I can only wonder, because that would be the only logical reason that you would choose. You would choose, because you chose this, because it wasn't required. You and they couldn't require you to do this regardless. You chose to not speak out. Ain't that something? The hypocrite you are. The hypocrite you are. And all along, it's the Indiana Fever fans that are a problem, that are racist. No, you're just a hypocrite. That's the problem. And again, sexual harassment, folks, for those of you who don't know, is anything that makes someone feel uncomfortable. And it's then something that continues after said person who feels uncomfortable expresses that they feel uncomfortable. So you walking down the hallway at your job, and you're a man, and it's a woman, and you say, "Oh, you look very nice." That in itself is not sexual harassment. The sexual harassment component comes if that person says, please don't do that, and it's making me uncomfortable, and they continue to do it, right? And actually, the same can be in reverse if you're a man and a woman comes down the hallway at your job and says, hey, you look really nice, and you don't say a word as a man. Well, guess what? It ain't sexual harassment if you, unless you say there's a problem with it. But we all know how this works. We all know how sexual harassment, and I'm not going to say absolutely works, but I'm going to say in large situations, in majority situations, when a woman gets complimented by a man that she finds attractive, she loves the attention, whether she's in a relationship or married. In fact, women will use that against their husbands and say, I was told by everybody at work today that I look beautiful. Married men, you know what I'm talking about. Married men, you know what I'm talking about. Women do this. They do it. But God forbid you come back from work and you tell your wife, oh, such and such said I looked great today. I was so handsome. And your wife will say, man, I'm going to kill that bitch. I mean, you tell me I ain't lying. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. We all know what it is. It's sexual harassment only when you're uncomfortable. Because if you want the compliments and you like the compliments, it's not harassment. So my guess is there was a guy within the Fever organization who was complimenting the wrong person and saying certain things to the wrong person. And you don't know what it could be. It could have been profane. It could have been nasty. But you think he was telling that to a player? You think that he was telling that to a player on this team? She paints this picture of a staff member, and we don't know who the staff member is, and we don't know who the supposed subject of the sexual harassment was. You can guarantee that it wasn't a player or a coach. It was probably somebody internally in the organization, and we're never going to know who because Brianna Turner is not going to tell us because she didn't tell us last year. So she continues, there are many sex variations. Intersex people, no, they're not. No, there's male and there's female. This lunacy that exists, no, there are not many sex variations. It's male and female. Intersex people, women without the typical XX chromosomes. Sex is far from binary. From my time in undergrad at Notre Dame, I took many course. Okay, God, they didn't teach grammar or spelling. Where I became better educated on the trans community. What'd you get educated about? About dudes that want to cut their penises off to become women, or women that want to add penises to their bodies? I mean, get out of here. My studies have led me to be inclusive. Okay, be inclusive. Whatever you want. You just can't have boys playing against girls in professional sports. I am more than willing to accept hate and whatever else the case may be, as long as the trans community knows that there are people that support them and want to see them live. Who says people want to see them die? Who the hell says that people want to see them die? Who says that? Pretty much every right ring grifter account has posted me in the past, but it's worth it 100%. Man, you're grifting all day long. You don't even know what sexism, misogyny, homophobia, and racism are at this point. And you certainly don't know the definition of sexual harassment either. By the way, I want to give y'all the legal definition based on the EEOC, what sexual harassment is defined as, so you can take it from me because I told you what I know it to be. Because I have a degree in a master's in HR, but it says sexual harassment is generally defined as unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature. It is considered illegal or prohibited when it meets one of two criteria: quid pro quo, submission to or rejection of the conduct is explicitly or implicitly made a term of condition of employment, academic standing, or participation in an activity. And this submission or rejection is used as the basis for decisions affecting the individual. Hostile environment. The conduct is sufficiently severe, pervasive, or offensive that it unreasonably interferes with an individual's work or academic performance or creates an intimidating, hostile, or abusive environment. So Legal frameworks such as the US EEOC guidelines and Title IX regulations also recognize that harassment can occur based on sex, even if not explicitly sexual, i.e., you look great today, such as offensive remarks about a person's sex. Like what? The behavior can be committed by supervisors, coworkers, clients, or classmates. It can involve verbal, written, or physical actions. Ergo, if you're not offended by it, if you like it, it ain't sexual harassment. If the guy's hot enough, you like it. If it's a guy that you think is attractive, you like it. It's when you think the guy isn't attractive or he says something that maybe you just don't like. Yeah, that's when that's what the balancing act of sexual harassment is so weird. I can tell you from personal experience. I was a married man at a job years and years ago. I was married at the time. This was back in like 2010. And there was a woman that every single day was commenting on my appearance. I'm a handsome guy. What can I say? I mean, I know it's a curse. And I actually reported it because she did it so much and it was so over the top that it was just like so over the top. And this was a law firm, so you can get in. Don't play. You don't shit where you eat. I mean, that's the thing I learned. And I was married on top of that, so it's like, bruh, I appreciate the compliments on my attire and how I look every single day. Please stop doing it. And I told her that, and she kept doing it literally every day, and I kept repeating it. Please stop doing that. It's making me, and on top of that, I sat here, like I'm looking right at you, and she sat right behind me. So she could look at me literally all day long. I mean, she must have had some thoughts in her mind. Oh boy. Right? So it got to the point where I was like, yo, I can't, nah. And yeah, and you know what? As a man, I can admit it. It wasn't someone that would ever be attracted to. So even if I was not married, I'm like, nah, not gonna happen. So we're all guilty of it. If it's someone that we find hot, we're gonna be like, woo-hoo. But the reality is, most of the time, it's not. That is not, and that's why people stream sexual harassment. I did tell my HR department it was dealt with, and the girl didn't lose her job. I didn't want her to lose her job. It wasn't about losing her job. She didn't lose her job. In fact, I left the place before she did. I don't even know when she left, but I left before I ended up leaving the job, and she was still working there. So, yeah. So she says here to any trans kids or adults reading this, I promise you your life matters. I promise there's people in this country that want to see you reach old age and live your truth. You are worth it. Trans lives will all. Who said they don't matter? This is the bullshit. This is the bullshit narrative that exists and permeates the WNBA. Who said your life doesn't matter? Who said their lives don't matter? Not wanting them to play in sports against girls. Brianna Turner, you wouldn't have a job if they allowed transgendered men to play women's basketball. In fact, there'd be nobody in the WNBA with a job right now. Nobody. They'd all lose their jobs because the transgendered men would be better at basketball than the women, than the real women. Am I saying it right? Is it transgendered man? So you were a man that becomes a woman, or is that transgendered woman? See, I don't even know what the hell it means anymore. I'm confused. You probably are too. So if you're a dude who becomes a chick or says he's a chick, and they allow those guys or those individuals to play women's sports, well, most of y'all will be unemployed. If in fact, almost all of y'all will be unemployed. So you say about what you support until it's time to fucking pay the piper and find out you don't have a job no more. So yeah, for those adults in the room and the men in the room who want to see their daughters have a chance to compete against other girls and not dudes, yeah, I do care about that. I didn't say their life doesn't matter. I just said you can't play sports against my daughter. It's just that simple. So she says here, yes, I know speaking about trans inclusion is a recipe for hate and such an awful platform, but I would much rather I would much rather the hate come my way instead of the trans community, and my mentions are off anyway. Whatever, nobody cares. If you are interested in supporting the trans community, da 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 da. Okay, continue. And here you got here. Oh Lord have mercy. Yeah, misogyny is a problem. Therefore, we should be forcing girls to share changing rooms with men. Yeah, of course, trans lives matter. Again, we never said that they don't matter. Sophie Cunningham is supporting the rights of biological girls and women to be able to compete in sports without biological men in the locker room. On the opposition, the rights of trans folk doesn't cancel out the rights of biological girls and women. You can say a trans person's life matters and still not want them to play against biological women. Like, I don't know why this is a foreign concept. You're telling me if someone gets cut from a team, their life doesn't matter? This is a deliberate red herring to appeal to emotion rather than common sense. Outing an SA victim is a new level of low. He was fired. Wasn't that punishment? Why should anyone speak about it if it was taken care of? Yeah. And you know, when you say that, when you look at that, again, he was fired. It wasn't like they didn't deal with it. This individual was fired. Why would the players on the team even be told about it? That's an HR matter. I am trying to understand why players or anybody for that matter in the building are even aware of the situation unless you have a bunch of blabbering mouth fools who are not comporting themselves professionally and keeping HR matters private. So if XYZ man was terminated for sexual harassment, is the woman sharing that with the entire building? Is HR sharing this with the entire building? I mean, there's bigger problems there that nothing remains private in the Indiana Fever organization if that's what's going on, to the point where you're saying you were encouraged not to say anything. Like, come on now. And again, you're a hypocrite because you shouldn't care of what you were encouraged to not do. You should have still come forward because you stand on that, right? You stand 10 toes deep in the ground on that one, right? That's what you claim. It's a joke. Brianna Turner remains a joke. WNBPA executive board member who now plays for Las Vegas Aces. Another example of messed up crap going on there when they got rid of De'Erica Hamby for being pregnant. I mean, come on. She picked the right organization. She's so for rights of women or whatever. And yet, I never heard her speaking on behalf of De'Erica Hamby. When did that happen? This woman is clown levels to the extreme. Again, not ever saying that anybody's life doesn't matter. Everyone's life matters. So that emotional tug that she tries to pull, it doesn't, it falls on deaf ears because the conversations are about athletes and women playing men and men playing women and men being able to play in women's sports. Yeah, that's the true conversation. And it all started from this comment by, Cheryl Reeve about, of course, it weighs on me and the trans sports bans and the attacks that have gone through. It seems like they got way more aggressive. I just don't even care. Um, there are no men that are in the WNBA. Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. But hey, y'all leave y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Hype the video, man. What do you think? Brianna Turner the hypocrite? Or what? That's all. This is Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.